Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi guys. Congratulations, Tech, for getting first. Welcome in. And Rain for getting second. I'm gonna be looking for work. That is alright. I hope you enjoy the book reading stream today. Good morning. Hi. Okay. Let's move myself a little down to the right. There we go. Hi guys. Okay. Let me. There we go. Okay. Hello. So, how's everyone doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. Let's. Oh, I'm gonna have to redo the notices. Uh-oh. It's fine. If anyone comes in and asks, I can tell them. It is hot in my room though. But yeah, hi everybody. I hope you guys are doing well today. Oh. 5 streams in and you're still thawing out. Here, how about this? Let's do this. You are now unthawed. I have unthawed you, Tech. How does that make you feel? The ads. Oh wait, what? Why? I did an ad at the beginning. Huh? That shouldn't have happened. Uh-oh. Well, um, hi Jade, welcome in, welcome in. Um, how's it going? How's your day going today? And congratulations on third. I'm just giving it a few minutes before I start reading. Especially because apparently texting an ad, even though I started it before stream started. My ads are broken. I get no ads for ad break. We get ads outside of ad break. What? That is not fun. You are just built different, wrong. Yeah, it's going good. How are you? I'm doing pretty good today. I had a good sleep. Yeah. This morning has been kind of slow, but I'm here today. So yeah. I'm very excited to continue reading Cradle. I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to do the same as normal and go for 4 hours today. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I haven't been able to catch up with the VODs, so I'm just here for shenanigans before you start reading. Oh, okay. Well, I do want to say that you might not be able to start off with chapters 1 through 3 anymore, because I'm pretty sure the Unfair Flips VOD is dead, but I can check. Let me go in here, video producer. Yeah, so, it looks like yeah, so yeah, the Unfair Flips VOD is gone. So chapters 1 through 3 are voided. But um the next book reading stream, my oldest video that's out, has a recap somewhere in it of everything, or at least it should. So if that works, I can try and save the VOD for longer. Here, let me try and do that real fast. Can I save it? Surely I can export it. Continue. Surely this works. Okay, so I think you can download VODs from the VOD menu, but it takes a while and I'm afraid it might lag stream. I actually just exported it to YouTube, and I'll just change my YouTube account to become my VOD channel. So I exported that one, and probably tomorrow, because I am streaming again tomorrow, I will export the next VOD, and probably once per day I will export a VOD that I have, like an act. Oh, oh. So it shouldn't take up any of my like actual stuff. Hold on, let me go over to YouTube real fast. YouTube. Um, view my channel. Um, how did I get 22 views on my first episode of Terraria Calamity? That's crazy. Because this one was about to expire today too. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing that. Because if I look, that one's gonna expire in. That one's expiring today. What was this one? I don't recall that one. But yeah. So I will do my best to export VODs. VODs last 14 days on a normal. VODs last 7 days on a normal Twitch account. They last 14 days on an affiliate account, and then they last, I think, a month or longer on partner accounts. It might be longer than that. It's between a month and 3 months. But I struggled with that before I hit affiliate because my no, it's okay, Tech, don't worry. Um I struggled with that before I hit affiliate because my VODs only lasted 7 days, and that was barely any time. And I also was like not able to do VOD stuff. So I'm hoping that now that I actually want to try and do it, it works. But do you know if I have to go to YouTube Studio to import it? Because it says it's just exporting It says it's exporting to... Oh, thank you for the head pats. I appreciate it. Where was it? Right here. I'm not sure where to find it imported. Exporting takes a while. The process is just very long to the sheer file size of the VOD. Right, it is a 3-hour VOD. So potentially soon it should do you think it will just auto publish on my channel? That would be convenient. Thank you for the 20 stream streak, Jade. I appreciate it. Surely like this. Not me trying to change my YouTube channel while I am streaming on Twitch. I think it will. Might be worth checking next ad break. Yeah, probably a good idea. Next ad break will be probably in another hour-ish, so I'll check then. But I do... It actually... Oh, wait. Pending? The standard definition SD version of your video needs to finish processing before your video is public on YouTube. Well, it's right there. It's already in. That's crazy. So it just has to process. Awesome. Processing will begin shortly. Nice. That was quick. Wow. That's awesome. Okay. I'm actually gonna put this here so that way when I... Oh, I forgot ads existed. I've been subbed for so long, lol. I never used the button to export straight to YouTube, but I know when downloading a VOD you have to wait like 10 to 20 minutes for the download to prepare. Right. I guess that makes sense. The only thing that I'm worried about right now is I don't know how to change my channel, like my avatar or the icon or whatever, and I'm trying to figure that out. Customize channel. Oh, I found it. Never mind. We're good. Okay. We're gonna quickly do this before I start reading, because if I don't do this now, I'm gonna forget, and then it's not gonna be good. So let me go to my pictures, screenshots, down here. Open this. This is gonna be X Holly Bones X. Yeah, your current YouTube icon is hilarious. It's actually a joke from a YouTube video that I watched a really long time ago. So, the premise behind that, oh, I'll read this too, actually. And that's just to get from Twitch. YouTube itself needs extra time to process it after receiving. That is true, so it might take a bit. But the story, the story behind the YouTube icon that I had before is that I watched a YouTube video from Purple Cliff, and he was doing a video where he opened a really expensive Pokemon card box and went and took the cards from that box to make a deck against his best friend. And so he got a picture in filming of Sam, the best friend, the guy that my icon is, and told the people watching to screenshot, make it your YouTube icon, and then comment in the chat, and he'll give you a reply. And I did get a reply, actually. He told me that I was the very first one to do it. It was really silly. Uh, that's crazy, Tech. But I guess you're not wrong. You're not wrong there. But yeah, that's been my YouTube icon for longer than I've been in the entire VTuber circle. I think like 2 years almost now. I've had that as my YouTube icon because I just never changed it. Is there anything else I need to change? I kind of do want to change my banner. It's a flying cats. I don't remember doing that. Let's go ahead and grab. Oh, I actually have a really good idea. Hold on, hold on. So this might break a little bit of immersion, but it's okay because it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna change the background. There is one. It's not cookies, right? No, it's not cookies. Okay, where is it? I know it's in here. No, not this one. Stop that. Cancel. Give me my change background back. We're just gonna go through them real quick. Ooh. Background 2. Nope. Background 3. Nope. Background 4. I promise this is for this is for something important. Background 5. Nope. Route number 6. No. 7. No. 8. No. 9. Also no. It's not the pink one. I think you missed background 6. Did I miss background 6? No, I did. I got background 6. Peaceful Park. That's like number. That's number 2. What? 1-1 Matsuri? Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. I got it. I need to turn off the stream title. And then I need to close that. And then I need to move myself off real quick. Jade, you're a monster. Okay. Now I need a screenshot of this. Now I can move myself back on screen. Hi, guys. I can go back to change background, hit the color picker one, and it's back to normal. Now I can put the thing back, close this, close that, and it's like nothing ever happened. So, but with that screenshot that I just got, I can change my background to that. Perfect. That was a really roundabout way to get to that, but it worked. And now my YouTube channel is branded to me. Surely. Right? Right? Wait, hold on. It's not working. Does it just take time to like Load. I did hit save. I promise I hit save. View channel. I did it. Okay. I got it. It's applying. Okay. Okay, so now that I did that, that took a little while. This is kind of like a little working on a couple of things, bit of beginning of the stream. But yeah. So now the my YouTube, I'm actually, can I link it to Twitch? How do I link my YouTube to my Twitch? I know you can get like banners and stuff on Twitch to in the About Me section. Oh. So where is that? Where do I find the About Me section? For the panels below stream, I can look into it and tell you in Discord. Okie doke. If you are gonna just be lurking, or if you have to go do something when I start reading, if you wouldn't mind doing that at some point, I would very much appreciate that. Because I do want to link my YouTube to Twitch now, if I'm gonna be posting my VODs over there. I don't know where the About Me section is. Is that like on my actual Twitch, or edit panels? Oh. Alright, so you can link your YouTube by opening your own channel. So yeah, I'm in my own channel in Twitch right now. And then pressing edit channel. Oh, right here. Over here instead of... Oh, customize channel. Channel, right there. Display name, yes, awesome. And then is it my bio? And scroll down all the way, and you can list links to other accounts. Oh, okay. So I would go to my channel right here. And then I would go back over here and I would link to YouTube. Link title. X Ollie Bones X VOD channel. With URL and custom title. Got it. Add. So the social link should now be on my Twitch. Supposedly. Oh, I don't see it, but I'm glad you do. That's very nice. Awesome. Okay. So it's now linked. Was that all I needed? I don't remember if there's anything else that I need to do. It's right below the video player when you open it. Is it? Maybe I need to reload my Twitch. Oh, right there. Found it. There it is. Okay. Thank you, Tech. That is very helpful. And yes, you got to reload when changing. Well, I did. So I went back to my channel and then went back into the video player and it wasn't there. So do you want me to just tell you how to add a panel? I just found. I don't remember what I needed a panel for. I don't remember. What did I need a panel for? Uh, I don't suppose I said what I needed a panel for, did I? Uh-huh. I didn't say? Well, then I probably don't need it anymore. So I guess we'll ignore it until I remember. So, but I think you just wanted to add one link to YouTube. Uh, yeah, I think, but we have the link right there, so it should be good. Oh, I wanted to add a link to the Discord. Okay, let me grab a invite link. How do I make an infinite invite link? Never, right there. Max number of uses, no limit. Roles. I have a thing that auto gives roles when you join. Generate new link. Copy. Now I should be able to go back to Twitch. Go to here. This is the Holly's room. Link to the Discord. Add. Awesome. Can someone check and see if that link to Discord works? Let's go. Oh yeah. Awesome. Okay. So now people can join the Discord from my profile and people can see the VOD channel from my profile. Yippee. Okay. Awesome. Now, I think we can start reading. Half an hour of just randomness. And I think that should be good. Oopsies. Oh, that's right. It's over here. I want it back. Have you noticed whenever I'm here, you don't get around to reading before half an hour in? That's okay. I have a good time with shenanigans, so there's no problem. My neck has been stiff all morning, though. Okay. Well, now that that is over with, we've made some progress, but also I'll tell you how to manage your panels in the Discord later. I have meds to take and found to. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Food, yeah. I figured you meant food. I just wanted to say what you said. Well, I hope you enjoy your food and I hope your meds go well. I'm going to begin reading with chapter 12 today. It took us 35 minutes to get here, but we made it. Okay. Alright, alright. I think it should be good. I think we're good to start. Alright. Chapter 12. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Information requested. The Four Holy Peaks. Beginning report. Sacred Valley is a paradise nestled within a mountain range. It is protected by weather and terrain, by the inhospitable nature of the surrounding regions, by ancient legend, and by a few significant individuals. Holly Peaks. Yeah. Sure. The Holly Peaks. Yep. And by a few significant individuals with vested interest in keeping the valley unexplored. Most of the world has forgotten Sacred Valley, overlooking it as nowhere of interest. But it has a long history, and that history has left its mark. The four mountains bracketing Sacred Valley are known to the locals as the Holy Peaks, locations of myth and mystery. The four largest schools in the region have each claimed a peak as their home, and the secrets found within are given these organizations strong roots. To the north, Yoma Mountain is carpeted in purple orris trees for most of the year. The Fallen Leaf School processes the fruits of these trees into products to be sold, as well as secret elixirs to strengthen their own students. They also possess the largest and most obvious entrance into the labyrinth that forms where I lost my spot. That forms the foundation of the entire Sacred Valley, an entrance they call the Nether Gate. The door stands 30 meters high and is carved with the image of a dread god. Every 10 years, it opens, and the fallen leaf elders are able to retrieve some treasures from the shallowest levels of the labyrinth within. To the west, Mount Venture shows off its distinct mineral composition with rust red cliffs. It is the shortest of the four peaks, and most of the mining in Sacred Valley takes place there. This is the home of the Kazan clan and the territory of the Golden Peaks. I can read. The Golden Sword School, and the profits of the mine are split between them. Gold, steel, and half silver are the primary output of these mines, though a further report can be requested on especially rare or trivially mundane materials. To the south, the mountain called Great Father is broken, its peak shattered into a shape resembling the mouth of a bottle. Water pools up there, cascading down the cliffs in a stream known as the Dragon River. Fueled by the water aura at the top of the mountain, storms rack these slopes year-round, and the Holy Wind School maintains shelters for unlucky travelers caught outside. Favored Holy Wind elders can bathe in the pool known as the Great Father's Tears, regenerating their vitality of body and spirit. To the east, Mount Samara rises as the tallest of the four holy peaks. It is blanketed in snow and crowned in a ring of pale white light that circles the summit. hold one more time. Sorry about that. Thank you for the stretch, Rain. I will do that real quick before I continue. I've been so congested today, it's weird. All right. Let me do my quick stretch. I've been at it for over 40 minutes, figured I'd need one. I've actually only been reading for like 5 minutes. We did a lot of other stuff for the first 35 minutes of stream. Yeah. But thank you. Chatting. I hope work's going well. And thank you again. The halo appears at sundown and disappears at sunrise, so that no one in Sacred Valley has ever experienced a dark night. Samara's halo is a construction of light aura bound into form by an expert centuries past, and it is the reason why so many sacred artists in the valley practice light aspect arts. The Heaven's Glory School has claimed this peak, using the power of Samara's ring to gather light aura even on a moonless night. Suggested topic: Origin of the Holy Peaks. Continue? Denied. Report complete. Without the lungs of an iron, Lyndon couldn't make his voice heard in every corner of the arena, but he shouted as loud as he could. Honored representatives of the Heaven Glory School! This one regrets that his display has caused you shame, and he begs one more chance to prove himself. In the box above, the boy in white and gold steps forward. His expression was cold and forbidding, as though he wished to have Lyndon executed before he said another word. Why should I give you such a chance? Wajan Amon is to become a disciple of your school. Is that not so? Amon, startled, looked from Lyndon to the Heaven's Glory agent. If this one manages to force him out of the ring or cause him to admit defeat, then this one surely demonstrated his own value. This one requests a place in your school under those conditions. Jeez, the congestion. The boy let out a single high laugh. My school only receives those with potential. You have none. This one does not dare contradict you, honored guest. But if this one could by chance overthrow Amon, then surely this one has proven his skill. And with the tutelage of the Heaven's Glory School, surely such skill has future potential. Wajan Cyrus had too high of a status to seize Lyndon and hurl him bodily from the stage, but it looked as though he wanted to. You go too far, he thundered, but the Heaven's Glory Elder raised a hand to stop him. We've wasted too much time already on this nonsense, the boy said. Let him fight, Wajanamon, and sure he has no time to admit defeat. The cold words sent a chill up Lyndon's spine, but he bowed again. Does that mean the Heaven's Glory School accepts my words? We do, so long as the Wei clan accepts the consequences of your loss. Certainly, Cyrus declared. One unsouled is no loss to my clan. An honorable death in a duel is more than he has earned. Lyndon glanced up in the stands. Kelso looked horrified. Duran was half standing in fury, and the first elder shook his head sadly. None of them could intervene. Only his mother frowned, as though considering something. Sacred artists, prepare yourself, the patriarch shouted. His grandson ran a hand along the spear, face as cold as his iron badge. Lyndon leaned forward as far as he could, as though he meant to dash into Amon immediately. Begin! Lyndon ran the other way. A surge of laughter burst from the stands as they watched the Foundation stage child run from the Iron Practitioner. Amon didn't deign to pursue, but straightened up, his spear locked in his fist. Do you want to shame me into chasing you? He asked, in a tone too low to carry. Is that your plan? Lyndon didn't answer. When he reached the edge of the stage, he turned to face his cousin. This one waits patiently. This one patiently awaits your guidance, he said politely. When Amon moved, Lyndon could barely see it. He seemed to cross a dozen yards in a single step. The foxfire gathered around his spearhead, tracing lines in the air like shining serpents. But he wasn't faster than Lyndon's spirit. He sent a pulse of Madra down through his heel into the stage, undoing the seal he'd placed on a jar 3 days earlier. Be free, he urged mentally, and the remnants shattered their prison. They followed the weak thread of his power up and through the stone, passing through it like ghosts. A swarm of green light hornets spun around Lyndon like emeralds, buzzing with fury. His command still bound them. Attack! As one, the remnants turned to face Wei Jin Amon. The iron fighter pulled himself up short, skidding to a halt on the stone, but he'd been moving too fast. He couldn't stop in time. Not that the remnants would have allowed him to escape anyway. They were on him like a school of ravenous fish, stingers flashing as they stung. But no one could display the dignity of a sacred artist under such a condition. He screamed like a child, flailing his spear as though he'd never had an hour of weapons training, swatting wildly at the air around him. For a few seconds, Lyndon only watched. When he saw pulses of hazy purple and white force emanating from Amon's body, causing hornets to pause or turn spirals in midair, he knew that his cousin had focused his spirit on defense. Now was the chance. Lyndon walked forward, and the remnants parted before him. Amon was still dangerously strong, his spear sweeping through the air, and Lyndon took an instant to judge its path before he reached out and caught it. The wood smacked painfully into his palm, but not with nearly the force a true attack would have carried. Amon's spirit was in chaos, his Madra bent to swiping away hornets, and he had not focused his strength. With both hands, Lyndon wrenched the weapon away. Amon didn't seem to understand what had happened as he stumbled blindly forward. While everyone in the clan who reached at least copper received instruction in a basic weapon, Lyndon had never had such an opportunity. He had no idea how to use a spear beyond imitating what he'd seen in others. Fortunately, he didn't need much skill. He gripped the spear in both hands like a club and began smacking Wei Jin Amon everywhere he could. The sharp edge of the spear caught him a few times, drawing blood, but Amon was an iron. He was in far more danger from the remnants than from Lyndon's pathetic attacks. Lyndon couldn't deny a little excitement. He dreamed of this moment for years. Under assault from the hornets and his own weapon, Amon's screams turned into sobs. I don't, he tried to force out, but Lyndon didn't lessen his assault. I give, he began, but that was too much. Lyndon walked around to the other side of his cousin, reversing his spear until the butt rested against Amon's chest. Then he gave a shove. The iron-ranked fighter tumbled to the ground outside the stage. The arena was silent except for Amon's sobs and the buzz of the remnants, who continued their attack until they received another wave of Lyndon's Madra. When they did, they responded as a swarm. Task completed. Then they flew off into the sky. No one stopped them. Someone like the patriarch could surely have destroyed them had he wanted to, but even he seemed paralyzed. His face grew red as he stared at Lyndon, his mouth gaping open as though he couldn't give voice to his fury. Before he could say anything, Lyndon bowed to the foreign guests once again. Wei-jin Amon has admitted defeat and left the bounds of the competition. Another instance of silence, except for the pathetic sounds made by Amon. And then the boy from Heaven's Glory began to laugh. Is this the honor and the dignity of the Wei clan, then? One child attacks another for a lowly position in my school, fighting over our scraps? The air warped around Patriarch Cyrus, and Lyndon was sheathed in absolute darkness. The Patriarch had blinded him. Only that morning, Lyndon would have panicked and begged forgiveness. But after seeing Suriel's display of power, this one was somewhat lacking. Forgive us, Elder Whitehall, Cyrus said. We will punish the unsouled. Elder? That child was a jade? Lyndon hadn't gotten a look at the boy's badge, but that seemed incredible. No, Elder Whitehall barked. The Heaven's Glory School has given its word, and a child cannot cause us to break it. We will harbor Weishi Lyndon for as long as he can perform up to the standard of the Heaven's Glory disciple. Of a Heaven's Glory disciple. Which wouldn't be long, Lyndon was sure. But it didn't have to be. He only had to find Yeren, the Sword Sage's disciple, and leave the valley. But we only came down from Samara for one disciple, the elder continued. We have no room for two. Have your grandson meditate on his failures, and perhaps when we again have space for a new disciple, we will consider him once more. The darkness over Lyndon lifted, and he dropped to his knees to press his forehead against the cold stone. Disciple Lyndon greets Elder Whitehall. Don't buy your own lies, said the boy in gold and white. If you last a week on the mountain, I'll tutor you myself. The rest of the 7-year festival passed without incident. As far as Lyndon was concerned, his veiled question to his family about a gold from the Lee clan or the phoenix that had descended from the sky were met with confused looks and careful inquiries. His mother, at least, was worried that someone of the Path of the White Fox had tampered with his perception. Kelsa ended up as the highest-ranking young iron in the Wei clan, as Wei-jin Amon was too busy recuperating from his injuries to participate. She ultimately lost to a Kazan girl, but that wasn't enough to tarnish her achievements. The patriarch himself presented her with a pair of valuable elixirs, announcing that she would redeem the shame of the Shi family. After receiving her prizes, Kelsa returned to the Shi family complex with Lyndon by her side. She spoke about the festival with great enthusiasm and without interference. He walked in silence. I'll need one of these elixirs to stable my core after reaching iron, but the second won't help much. They say it takes 20 of these to get close to jade. Can you imagine? They're 5,000 chips apiece, and that's with years of cycling in between each one. She glanced to the side, giving him a wry smile. The box of elixirs was tied in a cloth bag, and that bag dangled carelessly from her hand as she walked. I'd share one with you, but I doubt you'll need it. Heaven's glory! You'll be eating spirit fruits for every meal and drinking elixirs like water. Instead of sharing with you, I should be asking you to share with me. Lyndon knew Kelsa. She wasn't angling for a handout, just making an idle comment. If he actually offered to share any elixirs from Heaven's glory with her, she'd refuse unless he tricked her into it. But the thought gave him a pang of loss and regret. If all went according to plan, he wouldn't see Kelsa or the rest of his family for more than 20 years. It was an impossible amount of time to him, incomprehensibly vast. She read his silence and stopped, stretching out an arm in front of his chest. He ran into it as though into a tree branch, her forearm striking his ribs with the strength of a club. He coughed out in a breath, and the weight of his pack pushed him forward, straining his neck. He staggered back, wondering if his chest would bruise. What was that? You're too quiet, she said, folding her arms. The box of elixirs hung down in its blue shade silk bag. Something happened. He pressed his fingers to his sternum, feeling for tenderness. I'm listening. I'm not meditating on boyhood trauma. Maybe I should do all the talking from now on and you should take the punches. She stared him down. You can punch me as long as your knuckles hold out, but when you're done, I need an answer. You've won everything you've ever wanted, more than I did. There are people who would kill you for a spot as a school disciple, and you're not proud of it. You haven't gloated. You haven't even tried to get something extra out of the clan before you leave. You haven't even redeemed that deal of yours with the First Elder. And he told me he'd expected to see you before sunset on the day of the Foundation tournament. When you didn't show up, he thought you were dead. The deal he'd made with the First Elder, a copy of the White Fox Path in exchange for displaying his abilities in the 7-year festival. He felt like it had come from a different life. He'd been dreaming before he met Suriel, and now he was awake. Not that he could say that to his sister. Mind of the scales doesn't balance, Lyndon said. I was supposed to defeat a copper from another clan and show them the power of the way, but I ended up humiliating our own clan's best disciple. Kilsa placed the elixirs carefully on the ground, then grabbed him by his shoulders. She leaned forward, her face inches away from his, dark eyes heavy with concern. Are you dead? Because that is nothing my brother would say. My brother would have tried to convince the First Elder that beating a Mon was better than beating some copper from another clan. Lyndon shrugged, averting his eyes. I'm going to a school. I won't need it anymore. He wasn't concerned about keeping Suriel a secret. Spreading rumors about her couldn't harm her, and receiving a visit from the heavens was a source of pride. And not shame. If that had been all, he would have been trying to convince his sister to believe him, not keeping it a secret. But he'd seen more than just a celestial messenger. He'd seen the end of the world. There was nothing Kilsa could do to change that. Nothing she could do to help him. Even if she completely believed him and was willing to leave Sacred Valley at his side, how could she help? She wasn't a disciple of Heaven's Glory, so she couldn't follow him up the slopes of Samara. And she wasn't strong enough to survive the terrors of the valley any more than he was. If he failed, if he died on the way, as he was more than likely to do, he didn't want her to live helpless under a cloud of doom. She'd be happier if he'd said nothing. All that was true, but he still wanted to tell her. He was still watching him from an inch away, still looking into his eyes with selfless concern. He found himself saying, Was there anything you can remember from the day at the Foundation tournament? Anything strange? Her eyebrows raised. I'd say so. You set a swarm of hornets on Wagen Amon and beat him with his own spear. Anything else? Now it was his turn to search her eyes, looking for any sign of recognition, any uneasy recollections. You didn't feel like you were somewhere and then somewhere else? You didn't lose any memories or forget some time? How would I know if I did? She asked. Whatever he was looking for in her eyes, he didn't see it. He took a step back, and she allowed him to break her grip. I'm nervous, that's all it is, he said. Heaven's Glory won't accept a disciple like me, and they'll try to force me out as soon as they can. Kelsa watched him a moment longer, then plucked her bag of elixirs from the ground. Likely they will. What does that matter? You'll take what you can from them, then if it gets too dangerous, you just come back down. Maybe you'll get an elixir or some treasures from the top of the mountain. This could be exactly what you need to make the clan proud. They reached the Shi family complex, a square of tightly packed houses, as night fell. The ring of light around Samara glowed white, illuminating the snowy peak and casting a blanket of light all over the valley. He took in the sight of his home under Samara's ring as though for the last time. In the morning, his mother and father said their goodbyes casually, and they'd all assured him that he would be welcomed back exactly how he was. They didn't understand why he fought back tears as he wished them farewell, because they'd expected him to return in no more than a week or two. But in the end, he still had to leave. He'd seen too much to stay home. The party from Heaven's Glory was led by Elder Whitehall, who was indeed a head shorter than Lyndon. He looked no more than 11 or 12, despite his intricate white and gold robes and the jade arrow badge on his chest. He waited with 2 disciples from his school before a carriage pulled by a pair of remnants. The carriage itself looked finer than anything the patriarch would ride, inlaid with golden clouds and dancing sacred beasts, and the remnants were a pair of transparent oxen. They seemed to be made from heat haze, or perhaps incredibly fine glass, and, like most remnants, they made sounds totally unlike living creatures. Give me one moment, please. When they stomped their hooves, thunder rolled, and their fractious snorts were like the crack of a whip. "You've made us wait," Elder Whitehall said, though it was still an hour until dawn. Samara's halo still shone brighter than the moon. Crowning and illuminating their destination. "Stow your belongings before you set us further behind." The 2 disciples glanced at Lyndon more out of curiosity than pity, he was sure. Then they climbed into the carriage behind their master. Lyndon had tied his bulky path to the roof before he noticed what they were missing. A driver. "Hurry yourself, Unsouled," the elder called from inside the carriage. "I have business to attend to at the school." Without a word of dissent, Lyndon clambered up onto the driver's seat behind the oxen. Even this was cushioned, though the only carriages he'd ever ridden in the Way Clan had undressed boards for the driver. He was grateful for the comfort and for the lack of company. With an instant of concentration, he sent a drop of madra into the reins. A line of script ran down the inside of the leather straps, carrying his power down into the ox remnants. They bellowed like a couple of thunderstorms, transparent forms rippling with delight, they began to pull. After that, the trip was easy. At first, Lyndon was concerned that he might have to ask Elder Whitehall for directions, but he discovered that the path towards Samara was clear and wide. They rode for hours as the sun rose. The terrain sprouted hills, and the purple leaf orris trees gave way to foliage of mundane green. Mount Samara's halo faded and dimmed as they approached, eventually vanishing for the day. The mountain slopes were sparse, sprinkled with the occasional copse of twisted trees or the spot of color from a flying remnant. The mountain loomed over them as noon broke, like a like a wall taking up half the horizon. The road terminated at the base of the mountain, transforming into a dirt path that twisted up in a series of switchbacks. Hello? There we go. Okay. It should be working now. I should be good. It should be picking me up nicely. Awesome. Okay. I need to grab my headset real fast and then I will start back up with reading. All right. So I also did find out for anyone who's here that I will be I will only be going for about another hour and a half ish. I will do my best to finish chapters 13 and 14 in that time. Maybe chapter 15 depending on chapter 13 is not that long. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 pages. That's not bad. Or 11 pages. How long did that last chapter take? Like 40 minutes, probably? Something like that. I could do that. I could finish up to chapter probably actually 15 if we get through it. Yep. All right, well, I'm going to start back up. All right, let's do this. Chapter 13. Lyndon wasn't insane. No matter how resolved or determined he was, there was no way someone from the foundation stage of advancement would survive a trip through the trial of glorious ascension. He'd barely been able to withstand the illusions created by his sister's Madra, much less an all-out attack from a mind remnant. But he still had to make it to the top of the mountain before sunset. It was already early afternoon. It wasn't pleasant, but he did have one lone idea. Heaving a sigh, he started running back over the boulders. The trip here had taken an hour, and he was able to slow down a little on the way back, at least enough to ensure his safety, but his soul was already exhausted. By the time he arrived back at the carriage, his vision was swimming and his breath came in gulps. Fortunately, the carriage was still here. If it hadn't been, Lyndon would have cursed himself for rushing. He untied his pack from the roof, slipping his badge inside it. Then he rolled around in the dirt for a few minutes, painfully, as many of the rocks around here were sharp, until he looked pathetic enough. When he did, he collapsed face down. As soon as Elder Whitehall had abandoned the carriage, Lyndon had noticed. The remnants might be intelligent enough to drag it back up to the Heaven's Glory School, but they couldn't necessarily be trusted to do so. Remnants always acted according to their nature, after all, and it was not in the nature of most remnants to be perfectly obedient. The carriage required a driver, and Whitehall had climbed up the trial with his 2 students, which could only mean that someone was coming down from the mountain to pick up the school's property. And since remnants were valuable and prone to moderate decay without proper care, that someone would be coming soon. His only worry had been that he might arrive and find the carriage already gone. Now he had to wait for the servant of Heaven's Glory. He could have driven the carriage up the mountain himself, but then he might face some awkward questions. Better to wait. As the first hour of waiting stretched into 2, Lyndon's confidence in his own theory began to thin. Someone should have been here by now, but he couldn't lift his head to check too often, or they might see through him. He finally gave in to temptation and lifted his head only to see a stick-thin boy, barely Lyndon's age, staring at him from inches away. They both gave a shout at the same time, scrambling away from one another. The boy was wearing the uniform of a Heaven's Glory disciple, white and gold with a red sash. His badge was copper, which explained why he was junior enough to be sent on such a menial assignment, and his eyes were wide. "Honored stranger, do you need help?" the boy asked hesitantly. Oh, I could have read that differently. It's okay. Before he answered, Lyndon lifted a hand to his head and winced. He made a show of checking his entire body for wounds, moving tenderly as though his every muscle ached. When his face and white robes matted in sweat, with his face and white robes matted in sweat and marred with dirt, he shook like someone who had just survived a calamity. "Are you a disciple of the Heaven's Glory School?" he asked, injecting his voice with heavy exhaustion. "Yes, honored stranger." Suddenly, Lyndon propped himself up on his hands and knees and bowed until his forehead pressed into the dirt. "This one has failed you. This one has failed your esteemed school, and he deserves 1,000 lashes for his weakness." The disciple clearly didn't know how to respond, but Lyndon raised his head and swept into his story. "This humble one is only a gatherer of herbs, and was on his way to deliver his monthly supply to the magnificent Heaven's Glory School, but he was set upon by a group of honorless dogs." Lyndon choked as though unable to go on. Unfortunately, the disciple was intelligent enough to piece it together. "Truly unfortunate. Did they not even leave you your badge?" The boy's voice was sympathetic, but Lyndon had to quell any suspicion immediately. "Thank you for the hydrate, Rain. I appreciate it." You've been reading for a while. Wanted to make sure you're okay. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. "A copper badge will not fetch them much, but they even took the bread I kept for my meals. I am blessed by the heavens that they overlooked this meager pack, so at least I will have clothes for the return journey." He held up his pack voluntarily so he wouldn't notice it and become suspicious. "You, Karuka, and Tobin are keeping me sane at work. Well, I'm glad I can be of help with that. I hope work isn't like going too bad. I hope it's okay." "I spotted your carriage from afar, and I waited for you to return. But I'm afraid weakness overcame me and I fell into sleep. Tell me, what must I do to redeem myself in the eyes of the Heaven's Glory School?" The boy hesitated. "I'm just a lesser initiate. You would need to speak to an elder." With obvious difficulty, Lyndon levered himself to his feet, strapping the pack to his back. "Then I must go equip myself before an elder. Thank you, honored disciple." It's an end of February day. Heart episodes happened twice today. Don't worry about reading this. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna read it anyways. I'm so sorry. That's really not good. I I really hope the rest of the day goes well, and tomorrow is a better day. I am so sorry that happened. Hmm. That's understandable. I hope you're okay. I'm off tomorrow. I'll be fine. That's really good. I'm glad to hear that. Ba-ba-ba-bum. He bowed deeply and hobbled off as though he meant to climb the trail on foot. Of course, Rain. The disciple rushed over and caught him by the arm before he'd even passed the transparent ox remnants. "Hold a moment. With your injuries, you'd never survive the mountain." Lyndon looked him dead in the eyes and tried to imitate his father. He knew he looked stronger than he actually was, so he was hoping to approach the prideful stare of an expert. "My failure is my own, and I must walk my own path." He took 2 steps and sagged, barely catching his balance. This time the copper boy sighed and pushed him back towards the carriage. "I know you have your own pride, but I have mine as well. If I were to let a fellow sacred artist die on the side of the road when I could have helped, how would I show my face among the disciples? What would people think of my Heaven's Glory school? I must take the carriage up the trail either way, and these remnants will not mind a little extra weight." With a show of reluctance, Lyndon allowed himself to be ushered inside. Oof, my neck is stiff. Elder Whitehall only looked like a child. As a young man, old age had frightened him more than anything, so he had tested his fledgling refiner's skills on all the spirit fruits and sacred herbs he could gather. He'd finally refined an elixir that he was convinced would allow him to extend his youth. It had almost worked. An 8-year-old's body was not developed enough to use the full extent of its spirit, no matter how powerful that spirit was, nor was it strong enough to handle the most powerful sacred arts. He could accept that if it meant to increase in longevity. But for reasons he couldn't fathom, this state put an increased burden on his internal organs. In only another decade or so, he would die of old age while trapped inside a child's body. That he had achieved jade in spite of his handicaps was a testament to his own genius. Unfettered, he was certain that he could have become the first sacred artist in hundreds of years to have reached gold. The other elders thought his condition added a mystique to the Heaven's Glory school, as though they'd trained a child to jade, so they sent him to other factions. He especially resented it now, as a young woman in disciples' robes told him what he'd missed while he visited the Wei clan. Having to crane his neck to look this 17-year-old in the eye didn't improve his mood. Hold, please. I just saw the notification on my phone. Thank you, Captain. I know exactly what that is, and I'm excited to play it tomorrow. I appreciate it. I will accept it soon, probably after this chapter. Elder Harbeck, Elder Nasiri, and Elder Serenity were all confirmed slain in battle, the girl reported, her voice heavy. 4 irons are still missing, and 13 dead. But the sword sage was destroyed? Whitehall was very intent on this point. There can be no doubt. His remnant was the one to kill Elder Serenity, forcing the rest to retreat. The remnant was sealed in the Grand Patriarch's tomb. And the corpse? She bowed, averting her eyes from his. Pardon this one's insufficient knowledge, Elder. This one presumes the corpse is still inside with the remnant. Of course it was. If the elders had been trying to bypass the remnant and loot the corpse, they wouldn't have locked it in the tomb. His disciple is still in hiding, she added as an afterthought. The elders say she will be caught soon, and she may provide insight into the remnant's powers. Whitehall rubbed his chin, wishing for a beard. He hadn't missed anything too important after all. He was only too late for the danger. The reward may still await him. That will be all, disciple. The disciple bowed again. Her hair dangled close to his face. Then she ran off. She would be only too happy to leave. No one liked standing here, on the edge of the cliff at the top of the trial of glorious ascension. The stairs were steep here, and covered in a pink-tinged cloud. and occasionally a slashing claw or flickering tail would emerge as the remnants fought within. Wait, Captain, if you're still here, don't you have work today? I thought you were working. Whitehall had just climbed the stairs himself, so he couldn't be bothered, but many of the disciples harbored nightmarish memories of their time in the trial. They didn't want to spend a second longer near that cloud, than they had to. Nor, at the moment, did Whitehall. His heart itched with impatience as he longed to explore the tomb. There was every possibility that he could find a method to disperse the sword remnant, and if he did, the sword sage had come from beyond Sacred Valley. Only the most favored of the Heaven's Glory elders knew that truth, as many believed there was no settlements outside the valley. It was almost true. He'd seen the land beyond from a distance, and it was a barbaric world of slaughter and violence. Better if people stayed here, to meditate on the sacred arts in peace. But this visitor from outside could be the key to Whitehall's greatest problem. During his stay in the Heaven's Glory School, the sword sage had demonstrated not only his proficiency with weapons, but his skill as a refiner. He'd brought out herbs and ingredients that Elder Whitehall had never seen before, from an infant song root to the bones of a 1,000-year-old sacred beast. With materials of that quality, Whitehall was sure he could restore his body. He was close already, even with the pathetic sacred herbs he'd been able to scavenge from the clans. Whitehall had attempted to buy what he wanted from the sage, as had many of the other Heaven's Glory elders. The visitor had laughed and insulted them to their faces, saying they did not deserve such treasures. That was why the elders had collectively decided to kill him and take his wealth for their own. He was an expert, after all. He was a lone expert, after all, not backed by any significant power. Whitehall had only hoped that they would wait for him to return from the Way clan, but obviously the others had rushed ahead without him and bungled everything. This presented him with a unique opportunity. If he could dispel the remnant and loot the man's treasure on his own, then he wouldn't have to settle for a small cut. Even if he couldn't undo this curse on his body, his powers as a refiner and a sacred artist would leap forward. It would be a heaven-sent opportunity either way. He only lacked time, and now here he was waiting for disciples. What a waste. He'd already stood here for 3 hours, and if the two children were especially slow, he could be here for 3 more before the sun set. As for the third disciple candidate, Whitehall wouldn't even bother waiting. If the Unsouled hadn't turned back for his clan, then the boy didn't know what was good for him. He could die on the steps, and it would be no less than he deserved for embarrassing Whitehall in public. A more substantial shadow loomed in the clouds, and Whitehall raised an eyebrow. Perhaps he had underestimated the boys. The tall one, Kazan Ma Deret, actually had a bit of talent. If he'd managed to climb the stairs this quickly, Whitehall might even consider taking him on as a personal disciple. I can read. The figure that lurched from the stairs and collapsed, panting, on the cliffs was certainly tall. His hair was too dark for the Kazan boy, and though his robes were white, they were not the Heaven's Glory robes that Durrett had started with. And he was carrying a bulky brown pack that Whitehall didn't recognize. He lifted his face, and Whitehall saw that his jaw was clenched in a he lift he lifted his face, and Whitehall saw that his jaw was clenched with apparent anger, his eyes sharp as spears. From his face, you'd think him rebellious and defiant.
The Unsouled. Wei Shi Linden crawled to his knees, kowtowing before him. This one greets honored Elder Whitehall, Linden said between breaths. This one this one tried his hardest, and hopes he has not shamed the Heaven's Glory School too much with his tardiness. Judging by the sun, they still had at least 2 hours until sunset. The goal of reaching the top by sundown was not an easy one. Only 1 in 5 disciples who survived the trial of glorious ascension were allowed to select from the lesser treasure hall. As a boy, Whitehall himself had not made it, and he had used that failure to push him in the following years. Had he been outdone by an unsouled? The boy's clothes were shredded and caked in dirt, as though he'd crawled on his belly the whole way up. Scratches covered his knees and hands, and it looked as though part of his face would swell up. He was crusted in layers of sweat, as though he'd wrung every drop of effort from his body for hours. He certainly looked like someone who had passed the trial. But he remembered the final demonstration of the 7-year festival, how Linden had beaten his iron opponent by conjuring remnants out of nowhere. This wasn't a proud potential disciple of Heaven's Glory, but a scheming child whose spirit was trapped in a body that had grown without him, a twisted mirror of Whitehall himself. Whitehall walked over and kicked Linden in the shoulder, tossing the boy up and making him shout with pain. Did you have a winged remnant carry you up? Do you have a construct that protected you? Are you a genius scriptor? Because the heavens will crumble, and the earth will sink into the sea before I believe you climbed up here on your own strength. Wei Shi Linden looked up at him with hurt in his eyes, but rather than looking pitiable, he looked like he was angry enough to pick a fight. But there was no hint of anger in his words. Forgiveness, honored elder. But the honored elder himself was very specific that we should climb the steps by any means at our disposal. If the honored elder did not mean it, I would be willing to return to the bottom and climb back up. Only I don't believe there is still time. Whitehall slowly glanced over his shoulder. Several disciples in their red sashes had gathered to watch the scene. They had paused their end-of-day training to see who'd made it up the trial of glorious ascension. With no witnesses, he would have tossed Wei Shi Linden off the side of Mount Samara himself. No one would believe the Unsouled had a chance to make it up in the first place. They would all assume he'd died on the way up. Besides, the stairs were scripted to prevent anyone who started climbing them from leaving. People could enter the trial late, but even Whitehall himself couldn't move off the trail once he'd begun. Whitehall hurled a small wooden piece at Linden's head hard enough that it would probably leave a bruise. The Unsouled flinched and raised a hand to his scalp. The token was polished orris wood, bearing the mark of the Heaven's Glory School. 3 crossed swords on top of a blazing sun, with clouds surrounding it all. Take that to the lesser treasure hall and give it to the elder there, Whitehall said, restraining his anger. He had more important things to be about. This foundation stage cripple wasn't worth his time. Tell him you're not worth anything too valuable. Linden returned to his knees and kowtowed one more time, pressing his forehead into the ground. Gratitude, honored elder. This one is grateful for your generosity. Go! Whitehall shouted, and the jade madra powering his voice sent pebbles scattering, and a flock of birds fleeing from the top of a distant tree. The boy scrambled away, token in hand, leaving Whitehall to seethe alone. Chapter 14. Lyndon's plan had worked better than he expected. He'd ridden the carriage almost all the way up. All the way up the mountain before dismounting, telling the copper disciple that he had to walk the final distance for the sake of his pride. As soon as the carriage wound out of sight, he had walked around the slopes to the trial of glorious ascension, which he had only experienced for about 100 yards. Certainly, it was a grueling 100 yards. Spirits scoured his mind, tormenting him with doubts and dreams and phantom rage. He stumbled up each step with voices screaming in his head, and when he finally reached the top, he felt as though he'd escaped the cold grasp of death. If he'd tried to climb the whole thing, he really might not have made it. He flipped Elder Whitehall's token in his hand as he asked a nearby disciple where he might find the Lesser Treasure Hall. She was delighted to direct him once she realized he'd passed the trial before sunset, although his wooden badge gave her a look of clear confusion. As expected, the Heaven's Glory School was much more impressive in appearance than the Way clan. Each building was sculpted from river stone, a delicate and expensive material that glistened in the light as though drenched. Under the light of the setting sun, every wall sparkled. The buildings were each large enough to be a family dwelling of the Way clan, and next to each was a carefully cultivated garden that was dense with life. Disciples, in their white and gold robes with red sashes, were often tending the flowers or trimming trees in these little garden patches. With the mountains in the background, the shimmering buildings and luxuriant plants gave this school the look of a celestial village, torn from the heavens and set down on the side of a peak. As a son of the Way clan, Lyndon could appreciate the dedication that went into designing such an image. Impressions were important. The Lesser Treasure Hall of the Heaven's Glory School was no larger than any other hall, but a towering sign boasted its name in letters of gold. A script around the edges gathered vital aura into light so that it could be clearly read even in the night. Sitting on the porch of the hall next to a pair of iron enforcers sat an old man that looked as though he would shrivel away to nothing at any second. His hair was white and wispy, his skin so thin and dry that it looked like it might crumble, and his eyes were little more than beady black dots. His heavy jade badge, carved with a hammer, trembled as he climbed to his feet, hobbling over to see Lyndon. "Welcome to the Heaven's Glory School, new disciple," the elder said. "Your token, if you please." This humble student greets the elder," Lyndon said, pressing his fists together in a salute. Only then did he hand over the wooden piece. The elder slipped the token into his pocket and studied Lyndon. "You have a wooden badge." There was no point in hiding it, even if he could. Lyndon didn't plan on staying at the Heaven's Glory School very long, and his weakness would cause him trouble even if he tried to deny it. "I am unsouled, Elder." "Elder Ram, for an unsouled to pass the trial of glorious ascension before sundown is a fine achievement indeed, no matter how you did it." A bit of wry humor crept into Elder Ram's voice before he turned and waved Lyndon after him. Lyndon followed, deliberately looking away from the irons on the side. He already had a good impression of the elder, and he didn't want to ruin his mood by seeing looks of ridicule or doubt on the faces of the guards. "I have supervised the Lesser Treasure Hall for 40 years, and if you need a more detailed explanation of any of the items, you have only to ask." This is This is the least of the 3 treasure halls in our school, but do not let that dim your eyes. These are still priceless artifacts that any of the clans would ransom their sons and daughters to afford, and only outstanding disciples are given a chance like this. Lyndon was hardly listening. The Heaven's Glory Treasure Hall looked much like the Wei clan's archive, but on a grander scale. The building was one huge room, broad and open like a dancing hall, with display cases stretching out in vast rows. Each case only came up to his chest, so he was afforded an almost uninterrupted look at the whole spread. And the treasures he saw, at least the ones he recognized, were enough to make any Wei elder sick with envy. How do you leave them all in the open like this? Lyndon asked. It was the first thought on his mind, because he'd imagined any disciple coming up from the clans would be tempted to rob this place clean. The elder's wrinkled face stretched into a smile. The path of heaven's glory does not require you to set aside evil and selfish desires, but it is to your own benefit that you do so. If you had any ideas of slipping out with something extra in your pack, put them aside now. The elder pointed one gnarled finger at the frame around the door, through which they had just entered, and Lyndon could just make out a delicate etching of a script. That script is a defensive formation that calls battle constructs out of the ground. Some of them use Heaven's Glory Madra, but not all of them. Only the Grand Elder and I know the full configuration. Their power is enough to destroy even a group of Jades. Besides, he gestured to one of the cases, each case is sealed. If you try to open one without me, the alarms will wake the whole school and set off the constructs. He cackled and slapped Lyndon on the shoulder. So if you want to try and steal something from me, Unsouled, go ahead and try. If you survive, you'll learn a good lesson. Lyndon pressed his fists together and to salute the elder, glad the man hadn't taken offense. But in the back of his mind, he still noted that those security measures didn't seem unbeatable. He'd learned a bit about scripting and a bit more about constructs from his mother, and he was sure he could slither his way through a loophole. Not that a disciple should ever steal from his school, but Elder Whitehall had made it abundantly clear that he wasn't a real disciple. So why should he treat the Heaven's Glory School with extra respect? Where was I? But those were matters for another time. He stepped up to the first case, eagerly snatching the attached tablet. This was a fine, slightly curved sword of polished steel, short enough to wield in one hand, with a delicate spiderweb of script over the flat of its blade. Flying Sword, the tablet read. When powered by iron quality Madra, this weapon is capable of levitating through vital aura and striking with the force of a real sword. Used for personal defense, distant attacks, or even transportation for advanced practitioners. Aspect requirement: none. Already Lyndon's heart burned with desire. He'd heard stories of sacred artists standing on flying swords, or controlling clouds of the floating blades to shred enemies. He could face a stronger opponent by using the sword from behind, fighting as though he had an invisible partner. It didn't even require a particular aspect, so his pure Madra could power the script. It was only suitable for sacred artists of iron and above, but Suriel and Elder Whispered had both suggested he would reach that level eventually. Why not take the treasure now and prepare for when that day came? Eventually, he pried himself from the first case and moved to the next one. This case contained only a polished wooden box, but the tablet included a picture. the sketch of a hovering plated ball with what appeared to be a single eye in the center. Glass water sentinel, a transparent construct that is almost invisible, intended for personal protection, strikes down attacks aimed at its owner, crafted by Soulsmith Serenity of the Heaven's Glory School. Involuntarily, Lyndon reached out a hand to hover over the glass case, as though he could sense the construct's power. That would be even better than the flying sword. He could use it now, as constructs were fueled by vital aura, and it would keep him alive at least until he reached copper and could somewhat protect himself. He almost picked this one immediately, but there were dozens, perhaps hundreds of other cases. Night Flame Spirit Lamp, said the tablet for a shuttered black lantern that gleamed with a cruel edge. Gathers fire aspect vital aura during the day, sprouting a flame when the sun sets. Allows easy access to fire aura, and provides any practitioner with a source of light. Spirit seals sat in their own case, but he brushed by these. They weren't rectangular sheets of paper about the size. Wait, hold on, what? They were rectangular sheets of paper about the size of a palm, covered in scripts of daunting complexity, which could be attached to a remnant in order to weaken them for capture or dissection. Spirit seals were valuable, but they were almost useless for anyone aside from a soulsmith. He left that one aside. One case had a small garden inside, complete with tiny trees, grassy hills the size of a mouse, and a river running around the border that was still flowing. The glass of this case seemed twice as thick as the others, and it took him a minute or two of examination to realize that there was actually a glass box inside the glass case. Inside this garden, a finger-sized remnant of ocean blue flame darted around like a playful wraith. It slid inside the river, made a lap of the terrarium, and then frolicked on the hill for a few seconds. While Lyndon leaned over the case, it paused, tilting its featureless head up as though to look at him. After a few seconds, apparently bored, it returned to skimming around on the grass. Sylvan River Seed. The seed of a nascent sylvan, with water and other unidentified aspects. Can be nurtured by a supply of pure madra, but its future growth is not guaranteed. Aspect requirement. Pure. This case fascinated Lyndon, and he stared at it for more than 10 minutes. It seemed tailor-made for him, as it required purity, though he had little idea what a sylvan was. It looked like a remnant, and remnants were indeed capable of becoming more powerful, but they didn't grow from a seed. If this was something like a cross between a remnant and a sacred beast, it could serve him long after he left Sacred Valley. But in the end, he moved on to other cases. It had the same drawback as many of the other riches here. It would take too long before he could use it. He needed something useful now. Then again, he didn't want something that would be useless to him as soon as he hit copper. Elder Rom appeared in front of the Sylvan Riverseed's display case, smiling gently. It's good that you make this decision with patience. The treasure you select here can guide your entire path. And my soul shudders every time a young disciple comes in here and grabs the first weapon they see. If you tell me what's caught your eye, I might be able to enlighten you. If Lyndon didn't walk out of here with at least half a dozen treasures, he would be leaving a piece of his spirit behind. Hi, Lucy. Welcome in. How's it going? I hope you are having a good time with whatever you're doing. He gave the elder a helpless look. I could take it all, and it still wouldn't be enough. How many pages are left in this chapter? Thank you for the hydrate, Lucy. While I do that, I'm going to take a quick look at something. Let's take a quick trip over to YouTube. Go to my channel. Okay. So it hasn't finished publishing yet. Oh, it's uploading. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. For reference, for those of you coming in late, um, I have began the process of uploading VODs to YouTube straight from Twitch because I've lost a lot of content that people can't go back and watch because I haven't been doing VODs. So, as of right now, um, hi Dag, welcome in. Do actually want to see. Does it not have a thumbnail? I'll have to come up with a thumbnail. Um, yes, Dag. Hi. Hi, welcome in. How's it going? Sorry, guys. Give me one moment to fix what I am doing. Hmm. Sorry, guys. This is taking a second. I will begin chapter 15 in just a sec. Oh, come on. Okay. I have to do it again. Unfortunate. Okay. Surely I can just go ahead and get a screenshot of this. Okay. Perfect. Now I don't have to worry about that anymore, and I can start back up on the book. But I will be taking a quick break. I need to use the bathroom, so I will be running an ad. Oh, I guess it auto ran an ad. So never mind. I will not be running an ad, but I will be right back. So I think it should just be a couple minutes. I will be right back, and then we'll continue the book. We'll read chapter 15, and that's probably where I'll end stream for the day. Okay, be back soon. All right, I'm back. It took a bit longer than I was expecting. I needed to go get more water. I'm going to go back here. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Rain. All right. I'm going to start back on the previous page, and start at the at the last paragraph. If Lyndon didn't walk out of here with at least half a dozen treasures, he would be leaving a piece of his spirit behind. He gave the elder a helpless look. If I could take it all, it still wouldn't be enough. Rom gave a hearty laugh, smacking his palm on the flat of a glass case. Good, very good. That is how a young sacred artist should be. If you're not greedy for more, always more, how could you ever advance? Lyndon suspected he may have just heard something profound, but the elder was already ushering him forward. You're weaker than you should be, yes? Let this old man give you a few suggestions. Elder Rom toured him through the aisles, past a few eye-catching items that made Lyndon want to twist around and take a look. Finally, he stopped in front of a velvet cushion displaying a twisted half-silver ring. Lyndon's eyes widened before he even read the tablet. The parasite ring would burden his cycling so that it took twice the effort, but it would result in twice the reward as well. Since cycling was one of the only ways to strengthen his spirit without drawing on the vital aura in the atmosphere, the parasite ring would help him build up pure Madra. Elder Ram gave a brief explanation, but before Lyndon could say that this was exactly what he was looking for, the old man moved on. He passed a rack of weapons that weren't under glass, gold steel breastplates, mail, and shields, as well as half-silver knives, daggers, awls, sabers, and spearheads. Half-silver looked like ordinary silver that had caught sparks from stars, so it glittered. It was more brittle than its mundane counterpart, but it had disruptive effects on Madra. Those properties made it desirable for soulsmiths' tools and certain weapons. Gold steel looked like polished gold, except whenever it caught the light, it reflected pure white. That was an odd sensation for the eye, so that the mind was never sure exactly what color it was. Some in the Wei clan used gold steel to gather light aspect vital aura for training the path of the white fox, as it reflected light in a deceptive manner. Gold steel did not disrupt as half silver did, but it provided protection against remnants. It was best suited for trinkets that warded off small spirits or armor to protect against larger remnants in combat. Lyndon's fingers itched to examine the weapon and armor more closely, because such pieces had been far too valuable for him back in the Wei clan. But Elder Ram had him firmly by the elbow, and soon had him in front of another case. This one contained a pinkish white lotus flower, clenched halfway into a bud, perched delicately in a ceramic cup. It seemed to be made of pure color, like a remnant, as though it had been painted onto the world with a brush of light. The bud of a star lotus, Ram said reverently. Despite its appearance, it's classified primarily as a spirit fruit. Its herbal and medicinal aspects are considered low grade, but if you eat it directly, Well, I normally recommend it to talented copper disciples who are having trouble advancing to iron. For you, it might very well allow you to step into the copper realm immediately. Immediately. After Suriel's visit, Lyndon had begun thinking of advancing as something inevitable, but he had never even imagined breaking through instantly. He could catch up to his peers today. Of course, copper was only average by the standards of the Wei clan. The Heaven's Glory School rarely accepted anyone under iron. And outside Sacred Valley, the standards were apparently even higher. This is the one I need, Lyndon said, trying to make his voice sound firm. There was still at least 5 other items he wanted. But he had to be practical. The first step wasn't as exciting, but it had to come first. Instead of listening to him, the elder had already gathered him by the elbow again, pulling him away. Don't be hasty now. That's not the voice. Don't be hasty now. The school already gives 1 elixir and 1 spirit fruit to each disciple when they join, as well as every half a year. You'll claim your first batch today. At the mid-year celebration for Sunday is in only a few weeks. Hi, Dag. Yeah, what's up? You said my name twice earlier. Are we doing this again? Also, welcome in, Karuka. Hi, how is stream going? I know you are, unless you ended already. Uh, Stream went well. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. Died a bunch, killed a bunch. Fair enough. What'd you play? Here, let me do. Forgive Me, Father? I don't know if I've ever heard of that. What's it like? Here, let me. A Lovecraftian styled FPS? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. That sounds really cool, though. It's a very comic inspired art style. That's awesome. That sounds like a really fun game. Well, it's fun even when I'm dying a bunch. That's really good. I'm glad. I'm glad you had a good stream. I hope you enjoy catching in on um, Cradle. We are on chapter 14, almost chapter 15. And a little announcement for those of you coming in. There's also so Automod man, that's okay. There's also a rainbow gun, and I'm a very simple queer. Fair enough, fair enough. That's understandable. Um oh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, for those of you who are coming in that weren't here when I mentioned it earlier, I will now technically have a VODs channel. And hopefully soon. Um the first VOD that I'm uploading goes through. It's taking quite a long time to upload to YouTube, so this is probably going to be the only one that I upload today. But yeah. I'll go back here. You'll claim your first batch today, and the mid-year celebration for Sunday is only a few weeks. Oh, I read it wrong again. I'm having such a hard time reading today. It's so weird. Is in only a few weeks. It's very possible you'll advance then, using materials much less valuable than the Star Lotus. Pardon, honored elder, Lyndon said, even as he tried to extract himself as gently as possible from the man's grip. But if I break through, the Star Lotus will still be beneficial. It's intended for coppers, isn't it? Certainly it is, Rom said, stopping before a cage that softly shone. But if you can advance with the resources provided you by the school, why would you waste your one chance in the Lesser Treasure Hall? Pick a treasure that will truly serve you, even if you one day reach Jade. Lyndon thought the elder might have overestimated him a bit too much. An Unsouled reach Jade? How? He firmly stopped that line of thinking. Jade isn't where I'll stop. Neither is gold. When I return to the valley, they won't be able to measure my power. Suriel had practically promised him. Elder Rom gestured to the case, where a dense, rust-colored cloud filled the box. This is known as a 1,000-mile cloud. But it will let you move even farther than that. Only with the elder's explanation did Lyndon realize that the cloud itself was a treasure. He'd been trying to peer through it to see what the red fog was concealing. It's a construct. When you power it, it can carry you through the air as far as your madra lasts. Flight. Who hadn't dreamed of that? It can carry. Oh, wait. Suddenly advancing to Copper seemed trivial. Any child could reach Copper, any child except him. But what Jade could fly? As he was picturing the glorious scene of himself returning to the Wei clan on a flying red cloud, the case next to him caught his eye. It was a vertical column of glass, rather than an enclosed podium like the rest, and it contained a stack of purple banners that stood only as high as the knee. One side of the banners were stitched with 3 intricate script circles, but on the other side was the image of a 5-tailed snow fox. Without a word, Elder Rom moved over to the tablet next to the case. White Fox Boundary Formation. These 7 banners, when placed in conjunction with one another, gather light and dream aspect vital aura. This can be used for training paths such as the White Fox, or for baffling enemies. By holding one of the ward keys provided, the owner can enter and exit at their discretion. Aspect requirement: light or dreams. This is the one, Lyndon said. The rest of his ambitions notwithstanding, Lyndon had spent every day since he was a child dreaming of being a sacred artist, and more specifically, a sacred artist on the path of the White Fox. A master of illusion who could strike with the force of a thunderbolt, while his foes were still trying to catch a glimpse of his shadow. This boundary formation would allow him to even him to use power that should be limited to a ruler of the White Fox. And the one thing he could do as an Unsouled was power a script. Elder Rom drifted over, making a non-committal sound. You're from the Wei clan, I take it. It's not a bad choice, as formations are restricted only by your flexibility. You can use White Fox Madra even without cultivating it yourself, which has its uses. But formation flags have to be placed in a circle, which takes time. It takes planning, it takes foresight. If you're attacked, these banners won't save you, and they won't help you advance either. But the more he thought about it, the more convinced Lyndon became that this formation was the right choice for him. The banners were only useful with planning and insight, but those had nothing to do with his spirit's advancement. Only his mind. They would serve him now, last him even when he left the valley, and they would serve as a reminder of his family. He picked up the tablet, handing it to Elder Rom with both hands. Thank you for your guidance, Elder Rom. This is my choice. Perhaps I can render some merit to the school. Perhaps if I can render some merit to the school, I'll see you in here again. Rom laughed and took the tablet, which, if the treasure hall worked anything like the Wayclan's archive, he was supposed to file away. Instead, he tucked it under his arm and waved his hand over the glass. The glass shimmered and dissolved into motes of white gold light, and only then did Lyndon realize that it wasn't glass at all, but forged madra, one of the heaven's glory path, he assumed. Take them. I'll update my records when you leave. I'll tell you now, this is likely to be your last visit. Most people don't serve the school well enough to earn a second trip until they hit Jade, and by that time you'll be qualified to enter the greater treasure hall. These are toys compared to what you'll find in there. Lyndon's imagination soared, and he'd already started coming up with ways to impress the Heaven's Glory elders in hopes of receiving another treasure. But he knew he was being foolish. I'm not staying here, he reminded himself. I have a much longer path to follow. The surge of importance he felt helped, but even with the banners tucked under his arm, he couldn't resist a last longing look at the 1,000-mile cloud. Elder Rom pushed him out by the small of his back. You're a disciple here now, boy. You can visit me every once in a while to drool over my treasures, though I won't let you take one. Maybe I'll let you help out here from time to time. Lyndon bowed and thanked him, but before he'd even finished saying his goodbyes, a shout from outside distracted him. Bring him out here, a man's voice said with barely restrained fury. Elder Rom pushed open the door, revealing a tall, young man, about Lyndon's height, with brown hair and a dark gaze. Blood ran down his scalp. He'd lost his red sash, and his white and gold training uniform looked like it had been torn apart by a beast's claws. His iron badge was the size of 2 spread palms together, which was the detail that made him fit Lyndon's memory. He was one of the other potential disciples from the 7-year festival, the one from the Kazan clan. And he stared at Lyndon with undisguised anger. I'm going to take a drink of water. It is 2:40. Nope. Wait, actually, yes, it is 2:40. So I might not read chapter 15 tonight or today because I am leaving earlier than I expected to go do some practice for archery. So I'm leaving in 50 minutes for that. I don't think I have enough time to read all of chapter 15 because it is looking like it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 pages. It took me roughly 40 minutes to read chapter 14, and that one was 14 pages. I don't think I'd have enough time to read chapter 15 today, but definitely next Thursday, we can start back up on chapter 15. So I don't think I need to end for 19 minutes. I was thinking about. Oh, awesome. The VOD is now live on YouTube. On the VOD channel for, I believe, chapters 4 through 7. 4 through 7 is now on YouTube. Unfortunately, chapters 1 through 3 are dead and gone, but I believe in that VOD there should be a recap of everything that happened from chapter 1 to chapter 7. So you should still be able to get a good grasp on what's been going on. So, I think for the next little bit less than 20 minutes, I'm going to. I won't play it. Oh my gosh, it's actually bigger than I expected. But a big thank you. I'm gonna mention this in Discord later too. But a huge thank you to Liam, or Captain Cutest, for gifting me Lobotomy Corporation. It's a game that he's been interested in and been playing a lot, and I've also been quite interested in it. So, I mentioned that, and he decided to get it for me so I could play it on stream. I'm going to start the download now because I will be streaming that tomorrow. I think I can also take the time to move over another. Sounds like a plan. I'm back from my CNA class. How long are you going to be streaming for? I'm actually ending here soon. I just finished chapter 14. I don't have enough time to read chapter 15. Sounds like a plan. Oh yeah. I'm excited to play Lobotomy Corporation tomorrow. Captain and Android will be joining me for Lobotomy Corporation, and I'm excited for that. I hope you guys will enjoy it. I hope I do. Let's see. Yeah, I need to go to. I'm gonna go here. But yeah, I do apologize that I'm ending earlier than I expected. I wanted to go for another hour and 20 minutes, but I found out that from my mom on my break earlier, not my bathroom break, but the one before that, that we would be going about an hour and a half earlier to archery than expected. So, yeah, I will be ending here in just a sec. I do need to do a couple things real fast. Content. Oh, awesome. Lobotomy Corporation. It's fine. I know. Yeah, it's just I expected to go longer, and usually I do go longer. Let's go to video producer. Luckily, this is now moved over to words. It's now moved over to YouTube. This one, unfortunately, is going to take quite a lot longer because the next VOD that will be transferred over to YouTube is the first Hogwarts Legacy stream, which is 10 hours long. So that one won't be out for quite a bit. But the first VOD for Cradle is out, which I'm excited for. I will start the export to YouTube now. I realized that it's gonna take quite a bit. I need a um thumbnail for it though. Maybe I can go to Steam. I can take a look at Hogwarts. Maybe yeah, maybe I just take a screenshot of the Hogwarts Legacy homepage, and then if I can get it before I have to leave, um I can add it to the VOD. But yeah, I hope for those of you who have been who were in. Yeah, I apologize, Santi. It's okay. It's okay that you're late, but I am about to end. The VOD will be up on Twitch, and then hopefully sometime soon on YouTube now. I have a VOD channel up and ready. But the VOD for chapters 12, 13, and 14 is uh this stream was 12, 13, and 14 will be up on Twitch. 5 more minutes? I mean, I have until. Oh, well, yeah, you can. You can get your streak from watching the VOD, right? I mean, I'll stay live for a few more minutes, just so you can get your streak. But you can get your streak from VODs. It actually encourages you to do that if you miss a stream. hmm I will stay live though. I won't end. That wouldn't be very nice. Uh, But yeah, you have 24 hours after the stream ends to watch the VOD for some time. So many of my streaks have been saved by VODs. Same. A lot of my streaks have been saved by going back and watching the VOD for just a few minutes. Um but yeah, I won't end stream. Yeah, I'll stay live for just a few more minutes. So you can get your streak, and then I will probably be ending. I am currently exporting the first Hogwarts Legacy stream VOD over to YouTube. And okay, then and some and then I somehow completely miss one but get no notification about it. Right? That's happened to me too. It's kind of annoying actually. Um but yeah. So for tomorrow we will be playing Lobotomy Corporation, featuring Captain and Android joining to either help me and give hints or mm-hmm. It's the only day that Captain's not working that I could do it. So I will be streaming tomorrow at 1 p.m. Also, for those of you who are not in my Discord, if you want to be in my Discord, there is now a link for it in Twitch. You can go and look underneath the video player, and there is a link to it. And it is an actual link that works, not a broken link. But yeah, so I'd love to see you there. Um Also, I hope nothing traumatized Holly during ad break. Um, I mean, I don't think anything traumatized me. I kind of asked Mira not to eat you because she said she was gonna eat the cheese. Other than that, I think I'm fine. Um, But yeah. I keep reloading the page because I don't. Oh, there it is. Awesome. So it is exported into um it is exported into YouTube. Yeah, I was like, isn't she live? Oh. Yeah. I was just looking at Discord notifications while I was taking a quick break, getting water and stuff. I can upload the Hogwarts banner. Oof. It does not look great. It's fine though. All right. Well, I do need to end stream. Uh, I appreciate everyone that was here, and I appreciate everyone that came in at all. It was great to see you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's see who to rate out to. Hmm. Go back to Twitch. Oh, I could rate into Frosty. Welcome in, Awa. And also, thank you. I will. Let's raid Fost slash raid X cinnamon flux X. That's how you spell it, right? Yeah, I did it. I'm so cool. Okay. So yeah, just for a reiteration, I will be live again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Of course, Santi, I'm glad you got your streak. But yeah, I'll be live back again here at 1 p.m. tomorrow. 1 p.m. MST. Uh, normal stream time. The Thank you for the hug. That's really kind. Yeah. Normal time. I will be back tomorrow. The raid message, I still need to figure out how to fix this. Figure a replacement for that because you can't use follower messages not here. Those are that's the raid message. This is the raid messages for subs. That is not how you spell sub raid. And then I will copy and paste it. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone who came in today. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Yeah. Uh, yep. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.